Joining me now is Neama Rahmani, the president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Neama, good afternoon, and thank you for your time here on CTV News Channel.
Oh, thanks for having me, as always.
5 people charged in this case, 2 of them being doctors. Your thoughts on what we have learned about this network of people being charged?
Well, we have 2 different schemes here. The first involved 2 allegedly unscrupulous doctors who knew about Matthew Perry's addiction and prescribed him ketamine anyway. Ketamine that he could take home. They would charge $2,000 for each bottle. That cost them $12. Now, ketamine, of course, is generally a liquid drug. It's supposed to be administered through an IV in a medical facility or a doctor's office. It's not something that patients should be given in liquid form or in bottles to take home because it is often abused. Abusers will cook it, turning it into a white powdery substance, which they will subsequently snort, so they don't have to use an IV.
Let me just come down to the charges in this case. Looking at them, none of them really amount to murder, but mostly drug-related. What do you make of that?
Well, murder requires criminal intent. And, we talked about the 2 different schemes. The doctor charges don't involve murder or even manslaughter or any homicide charge because they weren't the ones that provided the ketamine that killed Matthew Perry. Those were the street-level dealers. So there's separate charges related to them, but there is charges that discuss conspiracy to distribute drugs and distribution of drugs that cause death. So the second group of bad actors, there are death-related charges, even though they're not murder.
Even though they're not murder. Okay, let me ask you about what we know through these charges now. How seriously do you think the government and authorities over there are taking this issue of illegal access and administration of these drugs, looking at these charges?
Well, it's a very serious issue, and there's always new drugs that come out. And let's not forget, ketamine is an older drug, but previously it was used as a horse tranquilizer. In the past 5 to 10 years, it has been abused. It has caused addiction, and it's a party drug. So whether it was previously methamphetamine and then fentanyl, ketamine is a drug that's on the rise. And of course, Matthew Perry is a high-profile victim, and law enforcement and prosecution are going to take his death seriously. Obviously, every victim's life matters, but the political reality is when you have a high-profile case like this, the perpetrators are more likely to be prosecuted.
Now, out of these 5, we understand at least 3 of them have pleaded guilty in this case. How do you see the case continue from here in terms of investigations and the trial, where the other 2 are concerned, including the ketamine queen?
Well, the ketamine queen is looking at significant time because she was responsible for another ketamine-related death in 2019. That's an additional prosecution that she's facing. And she was also distributing other drugs, including methamphetamine. So methamphetamine, at least according to the DEA, is a lower schedule, which means that it's a more serious drug. So she's looking at a potential life sentence in federal prison because of the 2 deaths that she caused, both ketamine-related, and the fact that she was distributing methamphetamine and has likely going to have a prior drug-related history.
All right, we leave it at that for this afternoon. Neama Rahmani, president of West Coast Trial Lawyers. Appreciate your time and insights, Neama. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.